Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter, and this is James.
Hi.
And today we're talking about volume 22 of Kaguya-sama Love is War. This volume was kind of like the rice I had for dinner today. Very steamy.
I thought you were going to say wet.
No.
Sorry.
I never eat wet rice. Or not that wet. Or I mean, I guess anyway,
it's got to be a little bit wet.
It
dry
definitely
rice is not great.
needs some water, some water. Anyway,
Moisture.
Yeah, very exciting volume. Just starting off by saying that. What are your spontaneous thoughts?
Spontaneous thoughts. I was actually spoiled to the most spiciest point in this manga. All these years ago, or how many years ago was it? 2? Maybe just 1. Maybe it was just 1 actually. It was in relation to Attack on Titan, believe it or not, and nothing to do with Attack on Titan or the conversation we were having. As far as I am aware, maybe there was some meme verbiage going on. I don't know. They posted that page from the chapter, like the last page where she says, "And we did it."
Right. Okay.
And I think it had like a character's face over Kaguya and Miyuki, whatever, but I could tell who it was.
Oh.
Like, it's like I could tell the art style. I was like, "Oh, what the freak!"
Oh no.
So yeah, totally spoiled.
Dang.
So this whole time I had known about this, but I never tried to dig deep into it or think about it too much.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so and there were no spoilers, like spoiler tags on that post. It was just someone was so excited to have a new meme format or something that they posted it there. Yeah, it was. I was not happy.
Ooh, yeah, because James has told me off recording that there's one thing in the future of Kaguya-sama that he hadn't spoiled on. Obviously, he never told me, which I'm happy about. But yeah, like I knew that it was something that James knew. But yeah, so at least we're there now. We're past it now, so there's nothing more
past
now.
it.
So that's
Right.
gotta feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, well, definitely like taking off a Band-Aid kind of a thing.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I imagine that must have been a pretty new chapter when you saw it. Like that must have been pretty fresh, like for most fans, I imagine.
Yeah.
Because I think that was around the time when this volume at least came out in Japan about a year ago. But yeah, a little bit about, well, before we get into the characters, there was just one little thing I wanted to touch on. It's really just a little nitpick kind of thing, but in the character index at the start of this volume, we've talked before about how it took them a couple of volumes to update Hayasaka's profile to be that she's not working for Kaguya. It took them a little while to kind of get that right. And now there's a new little thing where it still says that they're in the grades that they were in before, like the first and second years, like like the main characters, they should be in the second and third years.
You're right.
So they still haven't updated that. Just wanted to kind of mention that, I guess. But if there's nothing else, we should get into the characters, I guess.
Sure.
So starting with Miyuki Shirogane today, or as you called him in this volume, Dr. Boobs.
Oh god.
I thought that was really funny. Well, actually on that, well, or sort of around, I think it was that chapter, when he was talking with Tsubasa and Mikado, I thought it was pretty big of him to admit that he was a virgin, especially in front of Tsubasa, since he had kind of been leading Tsubasa on to believe something else, So I thought it took some courage to do that, and I definitely totally respected him for it, because when he did that, he also kind of sort of changed the tone of that scene in a way, from a very just jokey, funny chapter to, well, not necessarily super serious, but at least more kind of wholesome and kind of sweet, I guess.
Yeah, more down to earth, like guys actually sitting down and talking to each other versus, 3 guys speaking comedically, Like,
yeah, right.
I guess it felt more real after that.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Tsubasa's a hard one for me because, he's kind of rubbed me the wrong way for a while now.
Yeah.
Both him and Kashiwagi, although I go back and forth on Kashiwagi, but it's like now we can truly be friends. I was like, I don't know if anybody wants to. I'm kidding.
Oh.
As, but the way he was speaking about it, and just the whole thing, just was so. It felt condescending, like even for me. Like,
Oh.
I think they felt that way too,
I
because
wonder.
they were out of experience, and they even I
Hmm.
think kind of hinted at that. But at the same time, he was under the impression that they were all, I guess, had experience
Right.
with that
Yeah.
thing.
He was naive.
Yeah, he was naive in that sense. But anyway, yeah. So it was good for Miyuki to swallow his pride in that sense, and I guess
Yeah.
we've definitely seen him make a lot of progress since the beginning.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It was great. Oh, and at the end of the previous volume, when Mikado was introduced, we understood that there was some kind of grudge that Miyuki had, kind of
Mm-hmm.
toward Mikado. So it was nice to kind of pretty much right away just get to understand that. And I think, at least if I recall, like the way I was thinking about it last time, I thought they somehow actually kind of more knew each other on some level. Not necessarily super well, but that they had at least interacted before. But turns out they hadn't even interacted at all before. They had only seen
Yeah.
each other's names on the scoreboards. And yeah, like that was Miyuki's entire grudge, or like the thing that he was just hung up on, having been beaten by Mikado that one time. And it's such a typical Miyuki thing to get hung up on. Too.
True. True.
But yeah, but it was super sweet to see how like the moment they started talking, they pretty quickly became friends, and
Yeah,
I
I like
really
that.
liked that. Yeah.
I did feel like the rivalry was short-lived, especially since it felt like the cliffhanger such tease to this next volume, or even the coming arc.
Yeah. Right.
That there'd be something big with it, but it seems like it's kind of been brushed off. Like, oh, it's basically nothing. That they have mutual respect for one another.
Right. Yeah, like they
Um,
seem to have become actual friends even.
well, yeah, they are. I
Mm.
think
Yeah. Right.
at this point.
Uh huh.
I mean, as far as acquaintances goes, I suppose.
Well, yeah, they haven't known each other for long, but still, yeah,
Right. But
it seems
I'd
to
say
be
they're
going well.
friends.
Right.
But I wonder if there's going to be more to that rivalry in the future. Not so
Mm.
much the academic part of it, but maybe Mikado is actually going to play a role of a rival of some sorts um, for Miyuki in this final arc in some way. Because to me, adding him to the story just for this one gag and then having another guy friend, which is not bad, but I don't know, it seems kind of short lived. And obviously he has more, but
Right. There definitely
um,
seems to be more under the surface that it was just hinted at slightly here.
I just feel like the Miyuki rivalry part,
Hmm.
see, if it is not touched again, it seemed to like maybe it was not touched enough, in my opinion. Like
Okay.
for how much it was hyped up.
Fair. Fair. I don't think I feel the same way, but I can definitely see that, and yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way about that. But Miyuki wants to, well, he wants to help Kaguya in her battle against her family as much as he
Mm-hmm.
possibly can before he leaves for Stanford, and he plans on doing that by asking for help from people that he has helped in the past. And that's another one, like one of those just typical Miyuki things, and I
Yeah,
love that side. I mean, we talked about it before. It's a great side that he has. Um,
absolutely.
I'm just curious to see what he's gonna come up with, like what kind of plan he's gonna come up with about this, because it like just getting allies is not gonna be enough. I think he needs to have a really bad. Why did I say bad? He needs to have a really good strategy. Um,
Bad is in the good meaning.
right.
Bad
A
strategy.
badass strategy. Uh, yeah, no, but and on like on that, both Miyuki and Nagisa also in one of the chapters, both of them mentioned, well, they made the point that kids can't really do much in the adult world, kind of, and so I expect that kind of theme, quote unquote, to be elaborated on further, I think, in the future books.
Hmm.
But it does, well, since has been brought up, and since it's been mentioned by both of those characters in this volume, it's gonna take something really clever, I think, for them to be able to stand a chance, I guess, against the adults.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have no idea what or how they're gonna go about it, but
That's the thing. Like after that point, after that chapter, it never really got back into what Miyuki's going to do. There was a bit of talk about the future conflict and the families and whatnot, but not what Miyuki was going potentially or what he was planning on doing.
Right.
So this could be like one of those slow burns kind of a thing where over time we see a little bit of Miyuki's plan being formulated, or maybe we see him later on. He's like, I have no idea what to do.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Because like the latter half of this volume will focus on something completely different. So, but yeah, like I definitely expect it to be brought back up again. I mean, it has to be. Like, I kind of feel like
absolutely.
the whole thing with Kaguya trying to kind of basically become free from her family, essentially, in some way, like that seems like it's going to be like the main climax of the entire story, kind of. I think.
Yeah.
But Miyuki says in this volume that he wants to become a person who can bring about world peace. That's a pretty idealistic dream, but a very admirable one. And honestly, if anyone could do it, I think Miyuki could do it. You know, if anyone could, it would be him. He has the right kind of drive and personality, I think, to do that. Obviously, I don't necessarily think he will, but if it were possible, then he would be like one of the first people to be able to do that, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a nice goal to have, if not a little general. It's pretty broad.
That's true, and it's massive.
Yeah. But I like the moment that it leads to. I imagine the world that you would rule would be a one that is peaceful. So I like that moment between him and Kaguya.
Right. Yeah, I love that too. It like really, I like because Kaguya said like, oh, we have completely opposite dreams, but or like we want to become completely opposite people, but how Miyuki added to that, like no, like it still kind of works. That was beautiful. I thought it was also really sweet to see just how excited he was when he showed Kaguya their new home, the new Shirogane home, like the lock and the elevator and his new bed, or his room in general. Like that was a brand new thing for him, having a room of his own. But speaking about his bed, I guess segueing into a little bit of the stuff there, I thought Miyuki had a very mature view on amorous congress, as Maki so nicely put it in volume 17, which I will try to only refer to by that on this podcast. Anyway, I like his views and thoughts on it were I think pretty mature, like especially for a 17-year-old. It kind of like, if it happens, it happens, and either way it's okay. Like kind of those thoughts about it, I think were good. And also the fact that he wanted to, like, basically as soon as he noticed hesitation from Kaguya when they were together, as soon as he noticed that, he wanted to sit up and talk with her and and just thoroughly talk about all of that and both of their thoughts surrounding it. And I thought that was also very respectful and a very good thing to do. I mean, I think it's really important to be able to talk about amorous congress with the person that you're going to do it with. Like, if you're not mature enough to have a conversation about it, then you shouldn't have it. You shouldn't do it, in my opinion. Kind of. But yeah, I just really appreciated that moment, and just the entire ending of that chapter with just that in my opinion very touching dialogue that they had while they talked about it, followed by the kisses, and then you see like the next morning and you learn that they actually did it anyway. And yeah, I really loved that ending to that chapter. And it was wholesome, like surprisingly wholesome in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was a less sexualized for what they did, but a less sexualized version of it, and more of a like you said, wholesome and kind of special way to view amorous congress, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And I agree that Miyuki went about it a very, very thoughtful way, considering her feelings and not just giving into his desires. Until the end. But at that point, even even Kaguya felt like she was the one that was seducing him. I guess
Well, yeah, right. I guess in a way.
No,
Yeah.
well, she didn't say seduce, but she says I was the one asking him.
Right. For like his consent, kind of. Yeah. But anyway, is that it on Miyuki?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Let's move on to Kaguya then. And I guess we might as well pick up where we left off, sort of about the Amorous Congress, since we were just talking about that for Miyuki. I think Kaguya's thoughts about it, in my opinion, were interesting because, while she was the one who hesitated that one time during the night, her thoughts about it were more kind of, well, she felt more like they had to rush it, kind of, the way she expressed her feelings or thoughts about it. And I usually don't think rushing these sorts of things is a good thing, although I feel like in their situation it's kind of, there's a couple, I guess, reasons that make it okay. I mean, ultimately it was okay. They did it in the end, and they both felt good about it. So ultimately it was a good thing that they did it. But the fact that I think rushing it in and of itself was not, well, what was more okay in their situation compared to maybe some other situations, was that not only, well, they were pressed for time, and sure, that's maybe not a good thing either, but they were pressed for time, to be fair. And that with that in mind, it's fair to, like, I can understand feeling a need to rush, even though it might not be great perhaps. But they also had, obviously they had known each other for a long time. They had been developing feelings for each other over a very long period of time, and they had been getting closer to each other, and been through a lot, like shared many experiences together, and they were at that point in the story really truly safe with each other. So I think, even though they may not have known it ahead of time in that scene, for sure, they were ready. I mean, obviously they were ready since they did it, and it all worked out well. But I mean, it's hard to know if you've never had Amorous Congress before. It's hard to know, I guess, if you are truly ready or not until you're like there. What was my point about this? I guess basically that even though she was rushing it, which in and of itself might not be good, I think it was still fine based on how everything turned out, and also based on their history together. But I think the biggest part, the biggest thing that made it well, that made it okay, and that made it probably good ultimately, was the fact that they trusted each other as much as they do, because of everything that they've been through together, and like they feel so safe with each other. That's like the main thing, I think, that made it work as well as it did between the two of them.
It was amazing. That's what her
right
her review of it was.
Yes. That's a good review.
Yeah. 5 stars. Yeah. No, it's definitely not something you see often in a rom-com like this, where they go all the way. At the end of the day, it's a beautiful moment for both of them.
It really was.
And I just hope that they stay together.
Of course. They're the OTP.
Yeah.
The main OTP of this whole series.
Mm-hmm.
But, just look at Kaguya now, like how far she has come. If we, for example, compare her now to the chapter, it was in one of the earlier volumes, like volume like 2, 3, or 4 or something like that, where she thought that one's first time referred to kissing.
Right.
And now we have this, like, she has come a long way. I thought that was pretty funny. And she mentioned, and speaking of like old chapters also, like she mentioned at the end of this volume that she wants to eat bento boxes together with Miyuki at lunchtime. And I love that callback to, I think that was actually volume 1, when she wanted to have a bite from Miyuki's lunchbox or bento box, but back then she could, she eventually ended up getting a bite from Chika through Chika, but yeah. She didn't actually, she wasn't able to do it back then, but now she can do it. And so yeah, I think that's also like, it's it's great to kind of have that perspective and to know how much she has changed since then.
Yeah, she's definitely wanting to have an ordinary relationship. Be the ordinary girl.
Yeah.
That's kind of been her thing for the past few volumes.
Right, yeah, since I feel like it was established and really, or at least very focused on in volume 15.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And she wants to, yeah, she doesn't want to hide it anymore. She wants to just be perfectly honest with, well, the world about her relationship with Miyuki. And although before she brings it out into the open, she wants to tell Chika about it. And that's something I really look forward to see. Well, not only how Chika deals with it, but also, well, I want all of Kaguya's closest friends to know, of course. And Chika is like her oldest
She's
friend.
the only one who doesn't know.
Like, well,
sorry.
Does you know?
Oh, he does.
Like
Ishigami knows.
I think there's a good chance. But like we don't know.
I'm pretty sure they confirmed that he knew already.
Was that confirmed? Because I don't remember that. But maybe
I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I was under the impression that Ishigami and Miko already knew, and that Chika was the only one in the student council who didn't.
That's definitely possible. I may have forgotten about you in that case. At the very least, I think it's a very good chance that you may have figured it out, just because he's really good at figuring stuff like that out. But yeah, I don't remember for sure.
I could be misremembering.
I could also be. But yeah. Anyway, can't wait for Chika to find out, because she's gonna love that.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on her, I suppose. But yeah, I look forward to Kaguya telling her.
So in comparison to Miyuki wanting world peace, she wants to rule the world, but it's kind of a different light. Not so much like, with an iron fist per se. Although I guess it is kind of. Anyway, nobody controls her, and everyone obeys. So it doesn't sound as devious when you put it that way. It sounds more like no one, just kind of freedom. No one can control her and tell her what to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she comes from a background where she's always been controlled and restricted by her family,
right.
So it makes sense for her to feel, to have these feelings kind of.
Right, exactly. And I thought it was great that the Miyuki and Kaguya had that moment of good moment, I think.
Yeah,
between them.
It was great. I like a lot of the stuff in this volume actually affected me more emotionally the second time I read it for some reason.
Oh, really?
Compared to my first time, and this was one of those moments where I don't think I definitely enjoyed it my first time, but on my second read through earlier today, I was actually a little bit teary-eyed after it. So yeah, it was really good.
I thought the Kaguya cat chapter was adorable. To see her reaction to the cat, and some other thing that unrelated. Do you think, because Mikado goes up to her and tries to talk, and she basically acts like he's a stranger / enemy. Do you think she does remember him at all? Or is she truly playing like, I don't know you?
That's a good question.
the reason why I say that is Miyuki and Mikado hit it off, and Maki makes the observation, they are two peas in a pod, they're great. And I'm pretty sure Kaguya's like, nope.
Yeah.
They're not even close.
Right.
So why would she say that if she didn't remember Mikado?
True. That's a good point. Yeah. Then in that case, I think she must have remembered him.
So I'm curious, like, what she thinks of him and how true is her thoughts of him and everything. But I guess that goes into Mikado discussion, which we can save, I suppose.
True. We'll definitely talk about Mikado. Yeah. That's interesting, though. That definitely could be some... Well, there's definitely a possibility that Kaguya might just have misinterpreted him in some sense, or just think poorly of him just because he's a Shijo, perhaps, like stuff like that. Like kind of it was like, well, a bit tense between her and Maki, like earlier on in the story. Like maybe she still holds those sorts of feelings for Mikado just because she hasn't talked much with him lately.
Yeah, it's possible. I think with Maki Shijo, it's like Maki was putting up the walls, and so Kaguya just, I guess,
Mm.
put those feelings back. But then they were finally able to break down those walls and really bond. But then,
Hmm.
so what happened with Mikado? Was it maybe it is just something that she assumes that he's on the competitive Shijo's family side.
Right.
Um, don't know, don't know. Anyway, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be interesting to find out because I do think there's more to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We should talk about him soon. But before we do, I want to talk. Well, you mentioned the cat, Gomanosuke, and I.
Excuse me, I think you mean Edward of Woodstock, the Black Prince of England.
Yes, yes, that guy.
I
Uh,
love that name. It's so good.
that was a good name. That was a really good name. But yeah, like yeah, Kaguya was super sweet with the cat. Like she said she hates cats, but my god, seeing her throughout that chapter, it reminded me of one of my favorite early chapters from the manga where Kaguya walks to school by herself and she helps the little girl get to school.
Ah,
Like it was kind of like it was like really wholesome in a kind of a similar kind of way as how we see Kaguya. Well, we wouldn't like at least given what we knew before each of those instances, we wouldn't expect her to be as sweet as that with each of those beings. Like yeah, the girl and the cat. Like, but then turns out that she's just super sweet with them, and she adores them. Like, and yeah, I like that.
I think this is what the young kids call a tsundere.
Exactly.
I just saw that episode in season 2 where she goes to the doctor and the nurse is like, I think this is what the kids call it tsundere.
Yeah.
Fishy,
Yes.
yeah, totally acts like that. So I guess I was gonna say this for Hayasaka, but I can bring it up now.
Mhm.
Hayasaka and Kaguya both share a dislike for cats,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Mm.
And the reason it seems is that Kaguya can't forgive the cats, the species, for what they did to a friend, which in her mind it seems to be Hayasaka when she was younger.
Yeah.
So, are we ever gonna get that story, or is that just like some random thing about her and cats? Just
Ah.
Hayasaka got attacked by a cat, and now I hate cats. Like, is that
I don't imagine there's gonna be anything more to it,
right? I mean,
personally.
it seems like, but right, it seems like such a meaningless thing. But then why bring it up?
I wonder. I mean, maybe it was just to build up kind of the fact that, or like to let us understand that she doesn't like cats, but then, well, to have this kind of turnaround with Gomanosuke, perhaps. I mean, yeah. Or although maybe there's more to it that maybe a lot of it is still important, but Gomanosuke belongs to the Abe family, and we did
Right.
get the little tease at the end of the previous volume with Hifumi Abe. We got to see his feet along with
Mm-hmm.
Gomanosuke, and yeah, we still haven't actually met this character, but his family has been mentioned again, and we got to meet the cat. So hopefully we get to actually meet Hifumi next time. And he is because I refreshed my mind by looking back at the previous volume. He's a first year student at Shujin,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not in any of our any of the main characters' class, but he should appear soon. Since I expect since he was teased in the last volume.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
But maybe his cat is more important.
Uh, maybe, yeah,
Uh,
maybe we weren't teased on him. We were just teased on the cat.
yeah.
But yeah, like him as well as Shiranui was also introduced in that last chapter, last volume. Like I
Yeah.
also want to see her again, like more of her, for
Mm-hmm.
example.
Talk about Gomonosuke, like the narrator or whoever mentions it's basically the new mascot for the student council. So I'm
That's right.
assuming
Yeah.
we'll see much more of Gomonosuke in it. So which
Mm,
gives some potential to have Hifumi come in at some point.
yes. Is that all on Kaguya?
Yep.
Then let's talk about Mikado Shijo next. Actually, as we learn at the beginning, he seems to excel at a lot of things, or at least pretty much anything that he tries to excel at. He manages to excel at pretty much. Well, except for I guess
Eh,
the social things, kind of like he's a bit awkward, and he was really afraid of not being able to make any friends. Um, so like those sorts of things he might struggle with. But as far as like academics, athletics, and those sorts of things go, he seems to be very capable.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean, if he like puts everything into one thing, he'll like succeed. Like
Mm,
in order to stay on the soccer team, he had to do really well on the practice exams, and he ended
mm.
up taking first place. But after that, I think it's implied that he kept taking the practice exams, but he never placed because just never did
Yeah,
well.
right. I also got that feeling actually, and also in the chapter where the first chapter we saw him was the India chapter. In that chapter,
Hmm.
maybe I should have refreshed my mind on this, but the vibe I got from him then, if I recall at least, based on the descriptions and whatnot, was that he was not as academically kind of like he didn't do as well academically as Maki.
Yeah,
Although
I agree with that.
I might be misremembering. But yeah, you might be right about that. Like basically, he focuses on one thing at a time, kind of, and whatever he chooses,
Mm,
he does well in. But everything else kind of just is not as great. Uh,
yeah,
so that's pretty interesting.
yeah.
By the way, he's not wearing the Shuchin school uniform throughout this whole volume. He is just wearing a suit um, the entire time. So I wonder if he
Oh
like.
yeah.
At first I thought like maybe that's because he's new and he hasn't had time to get a Shuchin uniform. Although that also seems kind of weird. Like he knew he was gonna start at this school, so he should have been able to get a school uniform, right?
Agreed.
So I don't know. Like, do you have any idea as to why he wouldn't have a Shuchin school uniform?
Not a great one. One thought that came to mind is maybe in order to differentiate himself from the rest of the cast and
Hmm.
from the guys, he has the suit and tie on,
Hmm. Hmm.
because no one else does. But yeah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
Otherwise, there's usually no excuses for not wearing the uniform. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. So I mean, maybe it's like like first few couple days, it's okay or something like that. But then he needs to suit up or something. I don't know. Guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But one thing that I want to touch on is at the end of the previous volume, he felt like he had this kind of overwhelming, you know, presence, and he was a punk or something like that. But then in this actual volume, it's like, okay, no, this is his real personality, and you see that he's, maybe a bit shy, but
Mm.
not as confident in everything. Not a cocky guy. Just, I guess, it's hard to describe, but you know, a normal kid, normal
Hmm.
guy.
Yeah.
And I felt that it feels like this personality is the same kind of vibe I got from him when he was in India with his sister.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Mm.
Whereas at the end of the previous volume, I felt like they had changed his character entirely, kind of a thing.
True. Yeah. I guess I didn't think of that specifically, but now that you mention it,
It
yeah, you're
I
absolutely right.
remember it bothering me, kind of like why. And I don't think I mentioned it, but I was like, why
Mm.
did this change? But
Right.
then, yeah, after reading this, it was like, okay, now it makes sense because it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, that is funny though, because looking back at the previous volume now, like basically what we got now, like the way he was portrayed was really just what Miyuki knew, like kind of Miyuki's
Ah,
impression that he had of him, and that was
hmm,
obviously a completely different person than he had expected him to be. So I think in that sense, it's kind of fun that it turned out
that's
that way,
true.
or that
Mm.
it was portrayed that way.
Yeah.
But he calls Kaguya princess, and obviously it's a little nod to well the folktale about Princess Kaguya.
Uh huh.
I expect, but I also wonder if there's maybe a different, perhaps a specific reason as to why he calls her that here. And there was that brief scene where he was talking on the phone, and well, he was talking to we don't know who he was talking to on the phone, and there was also another person there.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a woman with long hair,
Yeah.
and he said that he would handle the princess.
Not to the woman though. It was
No,
to
no.
whoever was on the
Yeah,
phone.
yeah, exactly. To the person on the phone. So that's all pretty menacing, or kind of ominous. I wonder what's that all about.
My thought is actually that he's saying that just to make the person on the phone happy, kind of a thing. But he doesn't have any
Hmm.
intentions of doing anything
Hmm.
to Kaguya, um, because as Maki explained, he wouldn't have come to Shuchin unless there was some benefit for him,
Right.
and obviously some parties are going to try to use the fact that he's transferred to the school, but he's not gonna let them get their way, kind of thing. So I think he's just trying to appease. Well, I think he's talking to someone from the Shijo family that is trying to use Mikado as a way to get to Kaguya.
Right. I even expected it to be some pretty high up Shijo person.
Yeah,
potentially.
absolutely. Yeah, but I don't think, at least right now, I don't think Mikado is really going to act on it. Maybe he has something else in mind, but I really don't think he's going to be this bad person. Although I'm all fine with having a a change of heart kind of a situation. But I think he's a good guy deep down.
Yeah. Like I also don't think he's like really bad or anything. I'm just really, or I guess I'm a little wary as to like what exactly are his motives, because there seems to be like, well, as you said, and like the thing that Maki pointed out about him, like yeah, he's not necessarily following the plans of the Shijo family as a whole, but he has some plan of his own, and I just
something to gain.
Right, and so I wonder what that is, and how will that affect the story? Is that going to be like, is it going to be a bad thing? Like, I wonder, because I don't feel like it's definitely safe that he's going to be good. Like, he might be a different or like none of, I don't think he's going to be bad either exactly, but I guess it could be like a gray kind of area or something where whatever he wants might not be good for some other characters, perhaps. But I mean, I have no idea as to what it could be, but it's exciting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing whatever it is that he's planning, and his reason for joining or for switching over to Shuchin.
Yeah, absolutely. What is he planning? Like that's that's the big question. There's a moment where Miyuki is really distraught about chest sizes and people's preferences and whatnot. And Mikado he sees Miyuki and he has a feeling he knows what it's about, and he's like, "Oh wait, did the Shinomiya family finally start something or other?"
Yeah.
So he mentions that. So what exactly is he expecting the Shinomiya family to start? Like, they later, Maki and them talk about the battle between the two families that has technically already started, and so he should be aware of that. So then, what exactly is he saying that the Shinomiya would have started? Is what I'm trying to, I guess, pontificate and put out there.
It could be like, because what he says is, has the Shinomiya family already, and then he's kind of cut off.
Oh yes, that's it.
So what it could be, or perhaps, is like, sure, yeah, it could be related to the secret war that's happening between the two families, but maybe he's anticipating some big move or something by the Shinomiya family, that he's expecting them to pull soon or something like that, and like he's like, oh, have they already done that thing? Like, have they already made that specific type of attack in the current war, or I don't know, like something like that, perhaps.
Yeah, no, that could definitely be it. Maybe it could also be that. So he didn't even know that Miyuki is dating Kaguya, does he?
No, he didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, he didn't know that at the time, and not until a couple pages later.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would he be aware of, or why would he think Miyuki would be aware of that already happened?
Yeah, that is actually a really good question.
Because I was about to go to say, oh, maybe the move is they take Kaguya away from Miyuki, or they, do something to Miyuki's family. But why would he think Miyuki would have any relationship really with Shinomiya's?
Right, because if we didn't have the thing later on in the chapter where he's like surprised to find out that Miyuki has a girlfriend, if it wasn't for that, then I could easily imagine perhaps Maki having told him that they were together. But yeah, since we know he definitely didn't know, then I wonder what it might be about. Perhaps he knew that at least that Miyuki and Kaguya were close in some sense. I think that still makes sense, that he would know that, and then maybe that's why he would perhaps assume that it was something with her, or that, and perhaps also since I imagine with the secret war happening right now, that might be perhaps a pretty stressful thing for Mikado. So it's on his mind a lot of the time. So his mind would easily go to those sorts of places, perhaps, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it is a little hard to understand. But
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal in
Mm.
the end, but like you said, it means that it's on his mind,
Mm.
at the forefront of his mind. So clearly, what he's doing at Shujin is got to be something to do with that. Like, and I think it's pretty clear or pretty clear that that's implied.
Mm.
But you know, instead of it being like more wholesome, well, I just wanted to make new friends, or there was a girl here I liked, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, it's probably something else. I just can't quite think of it.
Because I remember last time when we talked about him, you were speculating about him in regards to the tale of the bamboo cutter as the emperor, which is what he's named after.
His name, yeah.
As like he would somehow become a love rival for Kaguya, or like I don't remember, or maybe not love rival, but there would be an arranged marriage perhaps or something like that with him and Kaguya. What do you think about that now?
I'm still definitely think that the possibility is there. I almost said open to the idea. I'm not open to the idea.
Okay.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But I think it could still happen,
Hmm.
especially if the person that he's talking to, it doesn't necessarily need to be Shinomiya. It could still be the Shijo family, but the reason why they want him to get close to Kaguya is because they want to set up this a romance between them. They set up a arranged marriage,
Right.
and maybe Mikado, doesn't really want that.
Right. Yeah.
So
That
what
would
other
be.
reason could he be there? I'm not sure, but that's my thought.
Yeah. Like precisely, that definitely could be the reason why the family wants him there.
Uh-huh.
Big question, as we said before, is like why is he there for? Like why has he decided to go there? Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, the Shijo family is buying up Shinomiya businesses, right? Like the companies and, weeding out people. So marrying Kaguya to a member of the Shijo family would end up potentially being an important piece, another way to take away from the Shinomiya power in a sense.
True.
And previously I was thinking of it as a peace treaty, but I mean that's still a possibility, but maybe it's more of a political move
Right.
entirely, kind of a power move.
Right. Yeah.
So
Definitely. That's a good thought. Just like his sister, Mikado also has unrequited feelings for someone or some other people. So I guess it runs in the family to just
yeah,
not
it's
confess your
this
feelings.
Shijo curse.
Yeah. Hmm. But should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ai Hayasaka next. For me, a really like my favorite part with her in this volume was when she started giggling like and mentioned Kaguya's character development, and she said, "I guess you had to be there," and I don't know, like I was hit with this just sudden wave of emotions when she like after she had said all that and she said, "I guess you had to be there," with that smile and everything. I just kind of laughed and cried simultaneously because we as readers are just like Hayasaka in this in the sense that we've had the pleasure of observing Kaguya throughout the whole story, and I is right, like about Kaguya's changing. Like she really has changed, and it's been honestly one of the most captivating character journeys that I've ever seen in anything.
True.
And just for the story to point that out through Ai in that way was just so beautiful in my opinion, because it really is like her character obviously is the one who has followed Kaguya the closest, and yeah, it's just great for her to see this change, and for her to, I guess in some cases, help us readers appreciate that changing, or to recognize that change in Kaguya. Definitely. I mean, I already appreciated Kaguya's character growth as it was, but
Right.
for it to be pointed out through it made me appreciate it even more than I already did, and it was a beautiful little moment, I thought.
Yeah, that it was a nice moment. I guess it's kind of a stinker because I was more so bothered by the "I guess you have to be there" line.
Oh,
It didn't quite like make sense in the context
really?
because she was there
Well,
like
she was
the
there,
whole
but
time.
yeah, she was Kaguya. Sure, of course, Kaguya was there for her own life, but she
Yeah,
wasn't an observer. Like, you can't really judge
you're
yourself.
right. I
Like,
just feel like the Japanese was probably a little more clear. I was just wonder I wonder what the Japanese was
I suppose, but
as well
I
as
don't know. I didn't have an issue at all with the English translation of it. I thought it was beautiful, like exactly the way it was. It was perfect, honestly, for me at least.
Hmm.
Like, because it points
It was
out
still
that
it was still
you
good. It
can't.
was still good.
Right, that's good. I'm glad you liked it still. But yeah, like, because the fact that it kind of makes a point out of the fact that, like, usually people don't really see themselves very clearly, like, in their life. Like, it's hard to, especially in
Mm.
the moment when you're just living life, it's hard to really understand your position exactly and the way who you are exactly. Meanwhile, others who have like an outside perspective can see you for what you are much easier. And I think, or to me, that point came across through that line, and I thought it was beautiful.
For all I know, it's a one-to-one translation. But
Maybe,
yeah.
but I mean, I still see your point though. But yeah, I really like that part though.
I actually really liked the part before where her reaction to Kaguya telling her that she went all the way with Miyuki, and she's shocked, and then she grabs a pillow and just kind of screams in it.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cute.
definitely. Yeah, because we know that she wants something like that too. Like, she wants to fall in love and find somebody
Hmm.
like that as well. Like, that's been established since pretty early on. She just hasn't found the person yet, but yeah. Oh, and actually, something about her new character design, with the new haircut and all since Volume 19. Something I don't think I noticed before for some reason is she has a hair clip in her hair with a moon symbol in it, or on it. Well, it's a moon, it's a crescent moon and a star symbol on
Hmm.
the hair clip. And I guess the star isn't maybe, or at least I don't know if there's any significance specifically to the star, but the moon obviously with the tail of the bamboo cutter is significant in that sense. But also on that specific night in Tokyo, or not in Tokyo, in Kyoto, when they were there and she cut her hair off, there was a crescent moon in the night sky. So
Right.
I think that's a nice callback to that. So that's just part of her character design now, and I really like that.
Yeah, it is nice.
Hmm.
Very cute.
Yeah, it's super cute. Anything else on Hayasaka?
No.
All right, then moving on to Maki Shijo. As we pointed out a little bit earlier, the war has started, and she's the one who tells us that the war has actually begun, even though it's not common knowledge, or like most people don't actually know about it between the two families. And supposedly by the end of spring, or at least according to Maki, by the end of spring it will be all over the news. And we're like almost in May, I think, at this point in the story. At the earliest, we're in late April right now, I think, if my calculations
Hmm.
are right. Since it's been 4 months since Miyuki and Kaguya started dating, and they started dating at the end of December, so we should be at the end of April. I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
it's definitely in the middle of spring.
Right,
I
or
think
like, yeah,
there's a few moments where they mentioned that it's still spring.
right, yeah,
Yeah. So
right. But we are probably at the end of April though, so like it's almost May probably, and like I don't know.
I don't think summer starts until June though.
Yeah, but still, it might just be about a month left of spring. So pretty soon, supposedly, the war might blow up into a much bigger thing. And well, on that whole thing, and also on that scene where we learned about all of that, it seemed like Maki was just super excited to join forces with Kaguya and the others, and like to strike back against these
Yeah.
deceitful adults.
Hmm.
And it also, well, actually, in fact, a lot of other characters that we know seem to also want to help out in some way.
Yeah.
Hayasaka said that she, obviously she wants to help Kaguya because she's her friend, and Miyuki obviously had the whole thing where he's going to start this whole battle arc, and
Hmm.
so a lot of the characters seem to be on their sides, which is awesome. And I just, I don't know, I'm excited to see how this whole thing is going to go, because I'm hoping there will be like an alliance kind of thing, or like there's going to be something like that. I don't know, somehow.
Can I just say that a part of me was slightly disappointed that they actually didn't show that conversation, like, after they had the whole, I guess, sex talk. I mean, that was hilarious, don't get me wrong, and I
Oh,
understand why it was important for his volume.
I mean, they might not have had that conversation.
Or maybe they didn't have the conversation. You're missing the point here.
Oh,
The point I'm trying to say is I would have I wanted to see them talk about it. You know, have that war plan discussion.
but Kaguya didn't want that though, or she her
Well, she
priorities were
did,
elsewhere.
but her priorities were different. I, what I'm saying is I was a little disappointed that it didn't happen.
Okay, fair.
But I understand that for the context of the current arc and you know where the story was going, they obviously that was not the time or the place.
I'm sure it will come though, or I really hope at least that it will, come back.
Right. Which I think may be an unpopular opinion. I think some people are not too, people being the readers, are not too into this idea that, I don't know, we're becoming more drama based and less love comedy based. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I guess we can talk a little bit about the afterword, which was funnily enough in volume 22 and not in the last volume.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least because that's what Akasaka said. Like from here on out, the story is not going to be as focused on comedy as it has been. I mean, we've already noticed it kind of, but he actually straight up pointed that out. That from here on out, it's going to be more. Well, what he says is the focus has shifted to how all the characters find answers to their questions and solve their problems. This means the manga is less of a lighthearted rom-com than before, but it's my way of taking responsibility for the fates of the whole cast of characters. I hope you'll keep reading.
To me, that gets me excited. Like,
yeah, same.
I don't know. I'm really excited to see how it all goes down, like the fates of all the characters. He's not saying just the fates of Miyuki and Kaguya. He's saying all the characters. So,
yes.
And yes, not everyone's going to get the same amount of spotlight. I get that. You know,
Right, of course.
Chica's not going to be the greatest character growth ever. I understand.
Yeah.
But I do think that he is purposely going to take the time to do each and every character and give them a serious role to play. Like he's taking responsibility, as he says, for the world and the characters that he's created. And I respect that, going away from the rom-com roots and, you know, really turning it into the story that it is right now. I mean, I think that's exciting.
I agree completely. In fact, ever since the story started to get more serious, which I would say the first time it got really serious was in Ishigami's part where, we got his backstory and the whole sports festival. Like, that was the first time it got, like, actually really serious. It had maybe, like, had a few little instances here and there of it before. Or, actually, never mind.
Oh.
The fireworks, I guess, was the first serious part.
Oh, yeah, now that I think about it, you're right. Yeah.
So that was, but then, well, but although I think Ishigami's thing is, I guess, a little step beyond that kind of, but still, the fireworks part, the Ishigami's part, and then many instances that have come since then are my favorite parts of this manga. Like I of course I adore the comedy, but the strongest parts of the story to me are the dramatic parts of it. So I'm all with you there, and it's super exciting, and it feels to me it's reassuring to know that these are Akasaka's thoughts on it as well for the end, for the later, or for the this final arc of the story. But moving on to Miko Ino next, I thought it was pretty awesome to hear that it was awesome to hear her express everything that she has learned lately about the importance of asking others for help and all of that kind of stuff. Because it's really all thanks to her and Miyuki having grown closer as friends. Like it's through their newfound friendship kind of that she has been able to seek kind of counsel from others, I think. Because I don't think she would have been able to really vent about her feelings for you otherwise. At least we haven't seen her do it to talk about it like explicitly with anyone besides Miyuki, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Right.
Well, it's nice that she's be able to talk to others about her feelings and whatnot. And you
Yeah,
know,
it is.
she even brings it up to Chika during the whole misunderstanding thing. He's like, you know who I like, and she's like, oh yeah, you're right. So it's nice that she has people who understand her in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because all of the rumors started spreading, and I guess it got to the point where even like it kind of came back to her, and so that she understood that a lot of people know about her feelings for you. Because I don't think she ever actually told like Kaguya and Chika, right? It just kind of reached them, I think.
I'm pretty sure Chika noticed, and
Oh
she
yeah, that's right. Chika noticed. That's true.
yeah, I think she brought it up or something along those lines.
Yeah, there was something like that.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, this volume, you can we already established that she had gone into a great friendship with Miyuki, um,
Mm.
but she's really taken a great liking to him. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the head patting and physical content and all the teasing and whatnot. Maybe it's a little too comfortable. Like,
No.
I understand why Kaguya would just be like, "Oh, really? Like, please tell me. Like, what went down?" You know.
Fair. Yeah, yeah. I don't blame Kaguya either, but at the same time, no, I don't think I don't think Miko is going too far. I think it's. I honestly, I just think it's really nice that she is able to be this comfortable around Miyuki.
True.
Because because we know it's not like romantic
Right. No.
or anything like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Because we know explicitly like that both she and Miyuki have feelings for other people, and
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's really fun to have this platonic friendship between these two characters. That it's kind of well slightly suggestive, I suppose, at times. At least if you're entering the room at the time that Chika did. But it's really just really innocent, just friendly and fun, and I really love it.
Yeah, that's fair.
She likes being treated like a kid and getting petted on the head. When I learned that, I was like, why am I not surprised? Just based on everything else we learned about her before.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely falls into her category, kind of. But yes, is that it on Miko or anything else?
That's it.
Then let's talk about you, Ishigami.
Really, the only thing I got is that he wants to be cradled in a big bosom, but not like sexual reasons. It's for like the comfort and the,
like the motherly.
The motherly aspect of it. It kind of seems similar to, and forgive me if you disagree with this comparison, but I'm making it anyway. It seems similar to Miko's desire kind of to be held by a man, or just kind of cradled, kind of, held.
No, I can see that similarity for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I can agree. It's like this kind of the comfort, the safety aspect
Exactly.
of the whole
That's
thing.
what I was going for. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And and we talked earlier about whether or not you actually knows or not, since I guess we don't remember perfectly. Since it.
I could have sworn because there was a whole Christmas present buying thing because Kaguya and Ishigami were in the store, and I'm pretty sure at that point he knew that Kaguya was buying a present for Miyuki.
I don't know if he knew for sure, like if it was ever actually explicitly said. However, I think it's definitely a very good possibility that he put it together without it being stated, I guess.
Yeah.
Although again, I could be wrong.
But I don't feel good about that because it's like me just guessing. Then.
I mean,
I could have sworn. Okay, it's fine.
It's possible you're right about something actually having been explicitly stated, and I just not remembering. I just don't remember it personally.
I'm just failing.
I mean, my mind could be failing. However, I was going to make the point that when Miyuki described what kind of boobs he likes, I wonder if maybe like assuming you didn't know for sure or doesn't know for sure, like in this volume, I wonder if maybe he could have put it together at that point that Miyuki was talking about Kaguya, or like he was somehow because the way he was talking about it wasn't very smooth. Like I feel like it was kind of obvious that he was talking about someone specific that had that has small boobs,
Mm-hmm.
and that you, based on, well, we know that he has very good kind of perception skills, he would be able to kind of put that together. Um, but that, of course, is assuming that he didn't already know, which I guess I don't know for sure. But I feel like at the very least there has been a couple of these hints throughout that you should have been able to pick up on. A couple of these hints throughout the volumes and been able to
Mm-hmm.
piece it together if you didn't actually know for sure. So yeah, I guess that's worth double checking if he actually knows for sure. But yeah. At the very least, I think there's a good chance he may have figured it out by now.
I think you're right. I think I don't think he actually has stated that he knows, and so now
Mm.
I've kind of made myself an idiot this whole time. But
No. Honestly, like there's like 3 to 4 months between the volumes now, and like it's easy to forget. I forget a lot of stuff too.
I do think, like you were saying, that he's definitely has to have put it together. But yeah, it has not come up. I don't think.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Probably. Although if it actually is the case that he does know, and someone listening, please let us know what the case is here. But yes. The last thing I had on you is that I'm just really happy to know that he's able to hang out with Tsubame and just have a good time with her, and that they're able to be friends even though there's nothing at all romantic between the two of them. Because I feel like this was, well, yeah, it was the previous volume where she rejected him, and so at that point it was kind of uncertain as to how they would be able to continue, or at least from Yu's point of view, like from his perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But this volume really just confirmed that they can hang out together and be friends, and it seemingly works out pretty well. So that's great.
Absolutely, yeah. That was a nice little like line to throw in there. Well, not. I guess it was more than one instance where you mentioned he was hanging out with Tsubame, right? Or was
Uh,
it just one?
well, there was one instance where he said he was going to go hang out with her and a
Uh-huh.
couple of the other Pep Squad members, and then
That's right.
there was the page where we saw them singing karaoke,
Oh yeah.
and then there was the comment between Miki and Kaguya when they were sitting in his bed, and they were like, "It's so nice that the two of them are able to be friends." So yeah, I think those were the three instances that kind of dealt with that in some aspect.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's really nice. Very happy for you. Shall we move on to Chika Fujiwara?
Yes, finally. Okay. The cover is a lie. It always will be a lie.
Well,
Everything is a lie.
the cover. Well, I agree mostly.
The cover's a lie.
I feel like
do not. No.
Based on the very ending of the volume, I feel like it kind of works though.
It does not get justified. That is switch and bait. Like it is complete clickbait kind of stuff. It's like, oh, I bet I'm gonna get a nice Kaguya and Chika chapter. Oh, tune into the next volume. You son. So why wouldn't I feel like whatever the next? I mean, I forget who's on the next. Is it Maki who's on the next volume
It's
cover?
Kaguya. It's just Kaguya herself.
Oh, that's right. It's Kaguya, and then it's Maki. Anyway.
No, then it's Miko, and then it's Maki.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. So Maki is the latest one.
I think so. Yeah, she's on 25 at least. Yeah.
What I was trying to say is that the next volume should have been Kaguya and Chika doing this. If they're going into this,
Mm-hmm.
Chika Kaguya friendship arc. That should have been the cover of the next volume,
Mm-hmm.
and then this should have been another. Well, it really should have been another Kaguya and Shirogane or Miyuki.
True. Yeah, like volume 5 or volume 14. Yeah.
Right.
Fair. Although I actually had like kind of a similar thought that I agree with you that this cover for this volume probably, although I guess we don't know for sure what the next volume is going to entail, but it probably would fit more onto the next volume. And I think why not just kind of switch them and have the next volume's cover, the one of just Kaguya herself, be on this one, because
I agree.
Because I had the thought that this volume is kind of the first volume of the kind of the final part of the story, and that cover art of Kaguya, I feel like it's a pretty obvious reference to the first volume's cover art. It's just like an updated version, I guess, in some sense. And so I guess and with that, it would have been nice to start off this arc with that cover art. or it could have been. Not that it's a big deal, but
Mm-hmm.
but on that, something I've noticed is I feel like Akasaka, with at least the last few cover arts, is kind of doing quote unquote remakes of previous cover arts, with kind of starting with volume 19 perhaps, with which was Hayasaka, which, well, I guess there had been two previous Hayasaka volumes before 19, but it could be like it's like a new updated version of Hayasaka, and how on volume 19 it shows the real Hayasaka, like she's not
Mm-hmm.
dressed up as anything, or she's not pretending to be someone else, she's not two-faced kind of. And then volume 20 had I guess volume 20 is a bit of an exception, because that one shows Miyuki by himself, the only one that actually does. But I feel like it could be like just an upgraded version of volume 5, which has both Miyuki and Kaguya, but it's like Miyuki is like the most in the forefront on that one. And then 21 had K, which was like a new version of volume 4, which had K. And then volume 22 now has Kaguya and Chika, which could be seen as an updated version of volume 8, which also had the two of them, although on the volume 8 cover, Kaguya was strangling Chika, and on this one they're like, well, it's much cuter and friendlier.
Yeah.
And then the next one's going to be Kaguya by herself, being a remake of the original volume 1. And then after that we have Miko by herself, but having a much softer face expression compared to volume 7, where she appeared having more of a kind of a stern face expression. And then there's Maki on volume 25, kind of being a new one, comparing to volume 13, where she appeared before. And like, it's just something I've noticed in these past couple of volumes, that maybe it's intended to be just kind of updated versions of previous volume covers ish, in some sense.
Yeah, that's fair, and I think they're all great, really great volume covers, to be
Mm.
honest.
And just kind of showing the, I guess, the development,
The progression,
yeah,
right?
progression, right? Yes.
I still think that they should have switched the two, but
Yeah, I agree.
maybe this next volume will have the Chika Kaguya stuff. I pray, and but also it has a lot of just Kaguya in general, so maybe it justifies having the Kaguya's front and center on the covers. So maybe there's just something I'm not aware of.
True. Yeah, we don't know.
Either way, the whole point was this, that I felt betrayed by the cover.
That's fair.
But I will say that Chika had some great moments in this comedically, as she usually does. And it's nice that we do, like you mentioned, have the tease at the end to, well, something actually of a serious nature.
Right.
Or, a little more serious.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you wonder how Chika is going to take the news that Kaguya and Miyuki are dating. Yeah. Especially, I don't know if it's going to matter to her. I feel like it's going to matter just based on past things. Like, who knew Miyuki's birthday? And she
exactly.
didn't know. And she was upset about that. So the fact that Miko knows and Ishigami, I feel like he's just be like, oh yeah, that was obvious.
Right.
I feel like that's going to be the case.
I have a feeling too.
I mean, she might be upset about that, that she's the last to know. So that's kind of my wonder and thing. But maybe she'll take it really well, and then there'll be nothing. It'll just be funny and just scream in pain.
Yeah, yeah, right. No, I mean, I think you're right, or at least I also had that thought that she's gonna take it badly initially, in that kind of a way, like, oh my god, Miko, and you already knew, like, but I think she's gonna get over that pretty quickly, I imagine, and then she's gonna be really excited for them and just happy for them.
Nice.
It's my thinking, at least.
I remember back in the day, when we were first doing the discussion, I wasn't like sold on the idea ever, but I always wondered like if it would go down the path of some sort of love triangle where Chika would actually develop feelings for Miyuki.
Right.
And there's always been like these small like hints that Miyuki is actually Chika's type, but she refuses to accept that.
Yeah.
But I don't think when it comes to learning that they're both dating, I don't think she'll take an issue with Kaguya dating Miyuki. I think it will just be really her relationship with Kaguya. And like we were saying, she never told Chika about it. So
yeah.
That's my thought process on all that.
Makes sense.
Chika's thinking of living on her own during college to escape her family, which is funny, but it's also, I mean, good for her, like wanting to live on your own, and
Yeah.
rich people.
Yeah, and I mean,
people can do that.
we've seen Moeha. She's scary.
She's scary, and her older sister. I mean, apparently she's a lost cause.
Right, according to the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny to hear Hayasaka just be like, "You think your family is weird?" And I think even Kaguya was kind of like, "Really? You don't think yourself is weird?"
Yeah.
But I see where Chika's coming from. Like,
Yeah, I do too, honestly.
yeah, she's quirky. Yeah, I'll definitely admit that. But yeah, her sisters are something else.
They are, honestly.
And they play Among Us.
They do, yeah, that was so fun.
The whole family does.
Yeah, the whole family plus the board game club and Kay. Like, what a crew. That was really cute.
Good times.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that if she ends up moving out of her parents' place to study when she studies at college, that she finds perhaps a roommate, like a friend, maybe Miko or Kaguya, like someone to maybe share a flat with or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be nicer than living on like by herself, I think. Anything else on Chika?
No, that's it.
Then let's talk about Tsubasa Tanma next. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but he said that he had always felt a wall between him and Miyuki, but that like it's gone now since Miyuki has opened up to him. And I don't know, I was just surprisingly kind of moved by that a little bit. I thought that was a very sweet little moment, and I thought, I think he seems like a really sweet guy. Like this moment, I thought was the like showed the most, in my opinion, just how sweet of a guy he is, and I guess I might even have started to kind of see what Maki sees in him. Like I don't know. I really enjoyed him in that scene personally.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think it was, a good scene, but I don't know. I'm not on the Tsubasa train. Like it's
fair. I mean, obviously, yeah. There isn't a whole lot on him, but yeah, still. I definitely like this, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of him.
Sure, yeah.
And he actually gave Miyuki some very good advice, supposedly in that scene, although it was revealed through a flashback. Like I guess in a sense he got to return the favor, kind of in giving love advice to Miyuki, kind of. Although I think he gave better love advice than Miyuki gave to Tsubasa back in the early volumes. Honestly, I thought it was very good advice, like really solid advice that he gave Miyuki, and that Miyuki was able to, adapt and understand and have use of.
Indeed, yeah, it was great advice.
Yeah. Well, he's not such a bad guy.
Yeah, just very very I guess very naive, but also
yeah.
I don't know. My thoughts on him are complicated, but it's also been a while since we've read, consistently. But I just remember him, some of the things he would say, and just how unaware of you he would always be. So yeah, just he's always kind of. He hasn't looked great in my eyes, but this is definitely a better moment for him.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think he's definitely, in my opinion, it's the best he's looked like in the series so far. But moving on to Daddy Shirogane. He was out partying with some younger, I suppose, YouTubers, supposedly younger YouTubers. And I guess his YouTube career seems to be going really well still.
Apparently.
And he told Miyuki, in the past, or when they moved in, he had told Miyuki to get a regular bed, and he also purposefully didn't come home that night. Like, he immediately understood what was going on when he talked to Miyuki on the phone, and yeah, I would totally call him a cool dad. What about you?
Oh, I don't have anything on.
I think he says he's a cool dad, and that might, in and of itself, the fact that he himself says that he's a cool dad might be bad. But no, I think he is a cool dad. He's totally a cool dad. He gives his son the freedom
True.
and
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
nice.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was raised a little differently.
That's fair.
But we're not all the same people. So
No, of course.
and I totally respect that. He wants to give Miyuki his personal space
Right.
and all that. So yeah, I think it's hilarious that he's just out in Roppongi Hills drinking right away. There's a lot of foreigners who end up in Roppongi. I wonder if those YouTubers are foreigners as well.
Oh, yeah.
No, they could be Japanese, but it would be funny if they were just a bunch of
right
foreigners from around the world.
Just some YouTubers from other countries that are on vacation in Tokyo. Yeah.
Or
totally.
there's some YouTubers who live in Japan.
Oh yeah, true.
That speak only English.
Yeah, he was taking a shot every 10 minutes. Oh my god, that is dangerous. But anyway, anything else on Daddy?
Nope.
Then, well, I only have one last character, and it's very, very little on him. But I wanted to mention Shindo again.
Oh,
Because I mentioned last time the slight little possibility that I speculated on, perhaps him becoming a love interest for Chika eventually. I still, obviously it was really just a thought then, and it still is just a thought now. But the fact that he actually still had somewhat of a role in this volume,
yeah,
it hasn't ruined my my thoughts on that. So yeah, he's still around, perhaps to some extent.
Yeah, maybe. Like it definitely him appearing in the first chapter and just still having some lines was more than I really thought that he would have in the next one. So yeah, so there's that. But I'm not counting on him becoming a mainstay at all.
Yeah, I know it's a wacky idea.
But hey, yeah, if it leads to something, sure, bring it on.
Could be fun. But do you have any other characters you want to talk about?
No, I don't.
Well then, let's talk about the comedy. The whole boobs conversation between Miyuki, Mikado, and Tsubasa was just so funny. Like, and as you said before, it turned into a really sweet, kind of more like of a sweet scene, like or as you said, like more like just a normal-ish scene eventually. But before that, it was I laughed so much. It was so funny to me, and just how specific they all were in their descriptions.
I actually got more of a laugh from the tea time with the women, and when they hear about the boys talk, like Kashiwagi's like, I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And later you see him with like band-aids on his face. Poor Tsubasa.
Their relationship, man. It's gone places.
It sure has. But they seem to be happy in it, though.
I guess. Well, definitely Tsubasa. I think he's probably fine with whatever.
True.
Continuing on with that scene, it's you have Maki covering her ears during the whole talk. It's like, no, I'm not listening.
I felt so sorry for her.
Yeah,
both for having to listen to like the Nagisa Tsubasa stuff, but also for having to hear about her brother's preferences.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Maki. Boy. I also really loved like basically the entire chapter with the burrs like that the cat brought in and like
it was hilarious.
Getting stuck to the clothing and everything. And like Miyuki just wanted to protect the cat, but Kaguya kept thinking, or she thought that he was like doing some kind of BDSM play.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like Kaguya. Oh my word.
She has really been reading up on a bunch of these things.
Yeah, for sure. I love the final line. Well, the final like section where it's like, oh, Kaguya would never do that.
Yes.
And then she's like, oh, yes, I'm going to feed you to a crocodile. Like, come here. And it's like, run, Komonosuke, run.
Yes, Chika's face there is so good. It's like the desperation and terror kind of in her face there. It's so real.
I speaking of Chica, I really did like the chapter where she walks in on Miko patting Miyuki's head, and
Yes.
then she kind of tries to play it off like she didn't say anything. She's like, "Nope, I can't do it. It's too awkward."
Honestly, it was she played it well, like for a while. I didn't think she had seen it when she walked into the room, but but yeah, no, she was just trying to ignore it for like a couple seconds. But also in that chapter, I thought it was really funny to see how Kaguya suspecting Miko of trying to steal Miyuki from her in a similar way that she had those sorts of kind of ugly thoughts about Chika in the past.
Yeah.
Although it's been a while now since she had those kinds of, since we had one of those gags, I guess, with her and Chika, but
True.
It was fun to have Miko in that. But also Miko like teasing Miyuki like after the whole thing about the two of them dying together if like their relationship would ever become that kind of relationship. That also really just killed me.
She's scary
because it's such a morbid sense of humor.
True.
But it's, oh my god, I love it so much.
Same chapter, Chica's making Miko choose her favorite, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she gets really upset when Miko sits next to Miyuki. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, my god. It's got to be difficult to deal with Chika, right? I feel like it would be.
Maybe, yeah. But I think her reaction is pretty fair because Miko views Chika so highly, or at least has in the past.
That's true.
And they were the bestest of friends within the student council. So to suddenly have her be best buddies, have her best friend be stolen, and like I understand the reaction. Okay. I totally get it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, obviously her reaction is Chika, like
it's very
over
Chika.
The top it's very Chika.
Yeah.
But I also understand where she's coming from.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess this one is a bit more understandable slightly compared to the previous instance in one of the previous volumes where she was trying to get Miyuki to not move into Minato Ward.
Yeah.
Because of the whole class thing.
Yeah.
that was not really cool.
Not cool. And then the whole birthday present incident. That whole thing. And...
Yeah. I mean, we still love her, of course, but she definitely has her bad moments.
Yeah. Like, I think we've already mentioned, I've been watching season 2 for the first time, and I see Chika in all these great moments, and there's not really too many, even from season 1 to season 2, there's not too many moments where I'm thinking like, oh, Chika, why? Like,
yeah.
Not really.
True.
It feels like in these later arcs, it's when it starts happening. It's like, Chika, no.
You're right. I think, yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought of that.
Another shout out to that cat chapter with Kaguya, not the birds, but the when you introduced Gomonosuke. I thought it was really funny, and then I just, again, that name, Edward of Woodstock, the Black Prince of England.
Yeah.
Like, where did she come up with that? Like,
it just seemed to come so naturally to her for some reason.
Yeah.
That was great.
I kind of love it. And yeah, I think that's it I have on comedy. Any other things you?
Yeah, no, I'm done too with comedy. So moving into predictions, I'll kick it off by mentioning one thing I have been, at least I think, mentioning it more or less for several volumes. I think is the whole heart thing that Miyuki gave to Miko at the culture festival, that she would be able to claim after 3 months.
You mean Ishigami gave to?
Oh, sorry.
Miko.
Well, did maybe
I thought you said Miyuki instead of you.
Oh, maybe I did. Sorry. Yes, obviously I meant you.
But I could be wrong.
No, but I probably misspoke. But yeah, that. And I felt pretty sure last time that would happen in this book based on the timing.
Oh yeah.
But it didn't. There was nothing on that in this book. And and by now there's been 4 months since Miyuki and Kaguya became a couple. Maybe a little bit more than 4 months even by the time this volume is over. And they became a couple maybe a week or so. Or, well, I guess depending on how you see it. But yeah, at the very least, after Miko got that heart from you.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 months have passed since then. Surely Akasaka hasn't forgotten about it. Like, there's no way. So I'm just thinking, well, I guess Miko could be claiming it more than 3 months later, because it would probably just be lying there unless somebody else takes it. So there could be that. I guess she could grab it after 4 months instead of 3 months. Or maybe we'll get a flashback perhaps to her grabbing it, and maybe there's something about that then. But I'm really hoping to get something on that in the next volume. Just because it's something I've been excited for ever since volume 14 or whenever that was.
Right. Yeah, maybe next volume is going to be it. I mean, there's a lot of chapters in it, so
Right.
it's not just going to be Chika and Kaguya or just Kaguya or whatever. So it's
Uh-huh.
definitely a possibility, and I'm hoping it does happen sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we shall see.
Yeah, and I guess if it doesn't for some reason happen in the next volume, then I have a lot more hope for volume 24, since Miko is on that volume. So,
True.
well, if the volume cover is anything to go by, as we've kind of pointed out before, it's not necessarily always the case.
Yeah,
but still.
sadly. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other predictions because I said most of them.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll get more of Mikado in the next volume, just because he kind of he was there up to like halfway, and then the story kind of shift focus. So I think we'll get more of him.
And he's really the biggest mystery right now, I feel.
Yeah.
So they're definitely, or at least one of the biggest mysteries. So it should be fun to learn more about him, and especially his reasons, like his own reasons as to joining or starting at Shuchin.
I agree.
I expect Miyuki will come up with a plan to help Kaguya, or well, at least I hope so. I guess it's not necessarily in the next volume, but I hope he'll come up with a plan because he wants to help Kaguya.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs to he just needs to figure out how he's going to go about it. So I hope he's going to do that in the next volume, and maybe we might even see how perhaps he and Kaguya together might form a group of people who are willing to help them, and to help Kaguya become free from her family, I guess, is like one of the objectives. But also to kind of end the Shinomiya family's wickedness. Because that's something that I think a lot of people could stand to benefit from.
Yeah.
And to kind of do what Maki expected Kaguya's gathering to be about, and it didn't turn out to be that way. But to have to actually have that, I think would be nice for the next volume.
I have a couple questions for you about that.
Oh.
So, do you think that Miyuki's plan will be revealed before it gets put into action, or would it be more like how the cultural festival went, where we didn't really know what his plan was and all that, and then it unfolded before our eyes, and we saw how it was all taken care of afterwards? Do you think that's more likely, where we just hit story beat after story beat and we're kind of lost for, well, what is Miyuki doing this whole time, and then towards the end we get this grand kind of reveal of his plan and how it all goes together?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or has that already been done?
Right, exactly. I was going to actually say that. I feel like it may have already been done enough, kind of, with that, because that was definitely a big moment, obviously, because it just kind of started their relationship in a sense. And yeah, no, I kind of think so. And so, plus, I also think it's it's similar to that in the sense that he's supposedly, at least, he's going to ask people for favors, or like he's going to ask people for help, which he also did back then. Although we didn't really get to see it a whole lot, we got like a little, like a few panels of flashbacks, but back then, the people that he had helping him were mostly people that we didn't really know that well. Like, that hadn't really been in the story much, if at all. Like, it was, so like it kind of made sense to not having showed that ahead of time, so it worked. Like it worked as it was. But I think in this instance, especially since we're seemingly drawing pretty near to the end, I feel like it would be nice to actually follow along with the process as it goes along, and to involve, well, several of the main characters in it, because I imagine a lot of them want to help out with this, and I expect Miyuki will understand that all of these people want to help out. So to form this alliance, as Maki, I think, called it, would be fun to see, and it would, like, I think it would be a shame not to, it would be a shame to see it only in, like, in hindsight.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, yeah.
That's a good point.
I definitely want to see it, like, in real time, for sure.
Fair enough.
What do you think?
I do see your case perfectly, and I think it would be a beautiful way to go about it. I just wonder also if Akasaka would just be too tempting to do a whole build up kind of a thing where you keep it in secret and then, like, boom, it's there, and then you get kind of in hindsight what he had to do in order to make it happen. It would be consistent with how the series has gone, because the fireworks was kind of like that. The confession on the rooftop during the student council, or the culture festival, was like that. So it would make sense to bring it back again, I think. But I'm not saying I'm against seeing him reach out to people and kind of having a plan come together that way. I think that would be really great to see as well.
Plus, I also kind of want him to work with Kaguya on this.
So that goes into my next question, actually. This part of this, because I just saw season 2, and in season 2, you have the scene where they're both looking at the moon, and the stars and all that.
Yeah.
And they talk about the tale of Kaguya. And there's that moment where he mentions that the person that Princess Kaguya loved, she gave an elixir, to live forever elixir or whatever.
Yeah, the immortality
taking
elixir.
It,
yeah.
Instead of taking it, he destroys it, because, like, I'd rather, if I can't be with you, I don't want to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of takes offense to that, or he says, I would have done everything in my power to get back to her.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is, do you think that's the kind of ending that Akasaka is going to be going for here, where, there's something happens that takes it apart. Kaguya, our Kaguya gives something to Miyuki, maybe not necessarily an elixir of some kind, but just something that would assist him in some way, and then he takes that and does whatever means to get to her. That would mean that they wouldn't really be working together per se, but
yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I really want this. Well, at least the planning of whatever is gonna happen, I would like for them to do that whole thing together. So, like, assembling the alliance, if this is the route that the story's gonna take, they would do that together, and whether or not it's gonna succeed, whether or not that's gonna succeed is not really important right now, but I want, like, I feel like that would be a process that I would like to see them do together, and that I would like the story to depict in real time. Maybe it's not going to succeed, and if it doesn't, and if we get to a part in the story where Kaguya is taken away from Miyuki, then I could absolutely see what you're saying. And in fact, I think that would be really cool, and a really good callback to that chapter where they're gazing at the stars and the moon. And I don't necessarily think we need an item like the immortality elixir.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I was just trying to make it fit.
Right. I mean, there could be something that might be handy. Like, there could absolutely be, but I don't think there necessarily needs to be something. All that it really takes is Miyuki's dedication to Kaguya, and his what he said in that chapter, how he would go above and beyond to be able to be with her again someday. And so I think as long as there's that, then hopefully we will have a happy ending. But I think there was also the thing that I mentioned, I can't remember when, but it was one of the relatively recent volume discussions that we had on the series, that Akasaka had made a statement at some point where he had said that he hadn't made up his mind if he would go with a tragic ending akin to the folktale, or with a happy ending. So with that in mind, it's hard to say, of course, but I'm really holding out hope for a happy ending.
But in Akasaka's afterward,
Mm.
when he talks about the final story arc, he does mention that he hopes all their stories have a happy ending.
Yes, he does.
Which,
he does.
Why would you say that unless you're kind of planning on it to go that way? Obviously, yes, his mindset is the characters do it for him. Like, the characters speak on their own. He's not making them do anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's going towards a happy ending in some way. Not that I see the ending. But...
Maybe he's just pulling our legs. He might just be pulling our legs. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna trust that too much. Although I was happy though to see that he had written that. Anyway, what are your thoughts? I guess on that similar or that same question, like the ending and all that.
Oh, I guess the reason why I bring it up is because I think it's a possibility or like a pretty good one. Because I think that moment is just so strong, that chapter and episode is just so strong in Miyuki's convictions that, and I think I've brought it up a few times on the podcast. Just the idea of him doing whatever he can to get back to her.
Yeah.
I just think that is a powerful message and a powerful way to end it all. But there's nothing wrong with it not being that way. It's just
absolutely,
for whatever reason, I have a feeling it could go that way.
But it makes me curious about Mikado's role because he is named after the Emperor. The Emperor was this character in the folktale who received the immortality elixir, but ultimately didn't use it, and he ended up throwing it into the crater of Mount Fuji. Is Kaguya-sama Love is War going to mirror that in some sense? And if so, how? Like, I have a hard time imagining how, because I can't really... I don't know. I don't know.
Good question.
Plus, we also have kind of unresolved impossible girls in the story, kind of with... Especially Koromo Shiranui, who has just barely been introduced.
Yeah.
And there's, Tsubame has had her arc, I feel like. That's been more or less
Yeah, we're
resolved.
good there, I think.
Kobachi should still have more stuff.
I agree.
And then, wait, there's one more, isn't there?
Yeah, who was it? I can't remember.
Wait.
Momo.
Yeah, Momo Ryuju. Right, but yeah. Yes, her as well. So I wonder how much is the story actually gonna delve into those characters and their connection to the folktale. Plus, there should technically be a fifth girl who we haven't even got a name for.
Right.
Since there were 5 different items in the folktale. So, yeah. Like, on all of those things with the Emperor and the impossible demands, I wonder how much the story is actually going to delve into that, or if it's going to more go its own route. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there doesn't seem to be that much time left.
No. Well, I kind of disagree. Because he says we're entering the last stage, and that he's not sure how long the final arc would be.
True.
And throughout this whole afterward, he's making it seem like, not that it's going to be, 22 volumes long, but that he's going to take the necessary time to touch on all these plot points that he's, or that his story has brought up over the years. And so I don't think that these 5 girls are going to not get the proper treatment, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point.
Especially when you introduce Shiranui in the previous volume, and that like there's got to be a reason for it, and in my opinion, it's just going to take a lot longer. And just being in the final arc or final act doesn't mean it's going to end in 3 volumes. For
sure. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point, and I really hope you're right about this as well.
I mean, look, I could be wrong, and people who are upset with how the story is going right now, maybe they're justified. I don't know, but I feel like I was surprised to get this afterwards, and after reading it, I felt like, okay, we're good. Like, he's got a plan, and we'll just trust the process.
You're right. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's. I mean, clearly he has a plan, and honestly, I haven't been disappointed or let down or anything by
No.
Akasaka yet.
Yeah.
So I trust in him. In Akasaka, we trust. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't wait for next volume. It'll be in August, I think we get volume 23.
One last thing I'll say about the what are they called? The Impossible Tasks? Impossible
Yeah,
Task Girls?
right. Yeah, something like that.
Um,
Yeah, whatever you want to call them.
I think of the ones that we mentioned besides Tsubame, who's basically done, I think Kobachi's the next one up. Like,
Yeah.
I at least in terms of how much development and where they are, I think it just makes sense that she would be the next one to bring up. But I could be wrong. It could be Shiranui or something.
Yeah. No, I think. Well, obviously we know Kobachi the best out of the
Right.
out of them. Plus, well, assuming we're gonna have some Miko Ino focus soon, in regards to her feelings for you and the heart being reclaimed soon, like all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I could see Kobachi being also kind of tied into that. So yeah, definitely hopeful for that.
Do you remember when I was talking about like Kobachi potentially having feelings for Ishigami?
Yes.
Like you bring up the whole heart thing with Miko and Ishigami in the heart and their potential romance, and then how Kobachi could come into. I just wonder if there is some sort of feelings that she's kind of put down because of Miko. I don't know. But, like, because what else could it be? Like, like what else is troubling Kobachi? I guess her beauty and her her family status and whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely not ruling that thought out either. I do enjoy that speculation, but it's hard to say. I excited for the next 2 volumes, especially since, well, the 2 volumes from now we have Miko Ino on the cover. But hey, yeah, been great to talk about Kaguya-sama again. Always is. It's like a big event kind of these days when there's so kind of few and far between the Kaguya-sama discussions.
I feel like I need to like reread the series every time I get to read a Kaguya volume.
Honestly, that might actually be a good idea.
I don't have the time to read 22 volumes,
I mean, in 3 or 4 months, we probably would have that time.
So are we changing our podcast theme to just Kaguya? Is that
okay, fair. That's true. We already read a volume a week. Yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, I can't hang out. I got Kaguya homework. I got to write a paper on Chika and why I think she's best girl despite, not having much development. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's
I
hard.
would love to read that paper. I imagine it would take.
Oh, really?
It would take a lot of effort, I imagine.
100-page thesis. Let's go.
Yes, give it to me. Well, on that note, that is probably all for this week, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Then, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 23. Bye-bye.
See you later. You almost went to New York. Ha!
I really almost did. That was crazy for like that day. It was like, oh my god. Yeah, that was a crazy day. In a way, I was kind of glad that I eventually found out that my passport had expired, because that just took all that stress away, and it saves me money.
Yeah, exactly.